mutilation of genitals. Crucifixion type sexual rituals. Really just kind of almost bringing that not in because it's how it yeah.
So why is this
have to do with gravity?
Yeah, listen, wait, I'm saying, so you're saying the power of being able to be on the ground. And saying, oh, it's another street to not be on the ground. And enjoy it, it's fun.
Need your name first and then say the date so that we're all clear and legal and I don't abusing you. First. I just
like
first say that
off the computer.
Well, I was
so okay.
I was asking
The couplet.
the day.
Like that?
Asking.
So okay.
So that. And you.
We have a system where gravity is a commodity. We're so far into the future, essentially energy and all these things that we see nowadays are nothing. So companies in particular have to find ways to create profits. And create profits by other energies. The energy that we face today is like electricity, gasoline, all these things. We're moving so far that we're fucking charging people for collecting energy, such as gravity. And what we're discussing to the point is like, what are the implementations of not having gravity? What if you don't pay your electric bill? couple students, and this type of students who really need a lot of money. And they interviewed them and asked them, what type of people do you have sex with? And they said, and over like studying like 7,000 level, they were like, you know, they came to let's study like 71% now. They had sex with politicians. I think politicians were half of them white people. And they would be treated as if they were that they were mutilation genitals.
Light and death. Is there still a way to choose a better time for us to meet? Is there a world where we didn't walk away like we will do today? I know you're far away now, and you can no longer hear my voice speak your name through these walls. In the mornings, when the light sneaks through the broken window blinds and blinds me awake, I feel a stir of chaos from unforgotten dreams, and for a moment, I know I see you standing there. In the afternoons, when the light has gradually found ways to touch the kitchen counters, I imagine you here on the couch, anticipating a meal I promised would be done an hour ago. I do not deny these pleasantries. In the evening, when I've convinced myself to stumble into bed, I can see where your body used to be. I see your hair spilling over the few inches I am given to lay, and even now, in your absence, I don't dare cross that boundary. Just like how you wouldn't dare say a bad thing about me. Well, other than the clutter, but this house is too big for one, and it could use the company. Even if just a pile of dirty clothes or a counter full of unopened mail. Some stranger on the internet said, someone in your life told you that you could write, and every time you write, you honor them. And this is my honor to you. There's no need to ponder whether or not you can hear these words as I utter them, because I do not speak for gratitude. Sometimes I like to think that we get to come back. I like to think about that. A second chance, a homecoming, a place where we get to figure this out. It's been raining for 12 hours now, and I remember my first memory was in Galesburg at Grandma's house looking out the window. I must have been 2 or 3 years old, and it had rained for many days. I saw the colors of the window, the sounds, the reds and blues, the comfort. I remember how this same week last year, you were here and we sat watching the snowfall for hours through the many windows in this house. How we had 2 cats and how I have 2 cats now. It is going to snow, and by it, I mean the earth. There are arbitrary divisions about where we are and where we used to be, and it is snowing in Illinois today. And I think you know that. I am certain. And where the dust collects is where all of our dust will collect. I just want to make sure I can find yours. This morning, I woke up from a dream that I had collected a garden in a box. You weren't there, and I was glad to know you can't penetrate my entire life unless I let you. The shadows are glimmering on this snow-covered day. The lights are sharp and accounting for the places where we used to go. I see the dust of the lives that lived here, and am reminded of remains or remnants or a mission. Could I stop my life just to be with you? I don't feel that way anymore. Rather, I feel abandoned. Not an unusual feeling due to the ways in which some have left this earth and have left my life. I aim to no wonder if you should still be here in this house, because now all of your things are gone. I've curbed furniture and the glee I feel when pickup trucks stop to collect your thing. I haven't stopped thinking about the lights in this house and their shadows, but I have decided this will no longer be directed towards your life in any way. And as I often do, I am thinking of Beyke when he said, "The harder you try." The waste of words continues with a stunning persistence as the waiter runs by carrying the loaded tray for all the wise shit boys who laugh at us. No matter, as long as your shoes are tied and nobody is walking too close behind. Just being able to scratch yourself and be nonchalant is victory enough. Those constipated minds that seek larger meaning will be dispatched with the other garbage. Back off. If there is light, it will find you. Or when he said, "The laughing heart," your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dank submission. Be on the watch. There are ways out. There is light somewhere. It may not be much light, but it beats the darkness. Be on the watch. The gods will offer you chances. Know them. Take them. You can't beat death, but you can beat death in life sometimes. And the more often you learn to do it, the more light there will be. Your life is your life. Know it while you have it. You are marvelous. The gods wait to delight in you. A room can smell awful under the presence of clothes that haven't been washed in a number of weeks. There's a young boy knocking on my back door. He comes around fairly often, and I don't really care for his company. Honestly, he can probably see, or at least hear me, typing this through the oddly patterned curtain that hangs over the back window. The dog is barking at him for knocking and scratching at the door, but I could care less. I was euphoric before the boy showed up. I was fine until he wrenched my gut at the best of moments. I saw 3 people I knew on the way to the smoke shop to grab some beer. I feel as if I'm on a stage in this town, always being watched and not getting paid, like some shit actor that plays in theaters for community dwellers to forget what good art is or how miserable their life is themselves. The music has paused and all of my mistakes are shown. What a wrench in my parade of thought. I thought all day today. Unlike the others, it was actually noticeable. I think he finally left and received the message, but in short, I imagine he is still in close proximity. The struggles of this small town have become prominent and more so ever since I stepped off that platform in Chicago, when I got picked up by some of the best people in the world. Red-faced, exhausted, and tired of the Amish folks branding their different colors on the train as they point to farming structures across northern Ohio. That's what I desire, to be a silo in the garden of the beds of the Great Lakes, only noticed by the Amish but never spoken to. If this kid aims to kill himself and this is his last-ditch effort, then maybe he should have knocked louder. Another sunny day on Garden Street. The young girl downstairs is playing violin steadily. Its sound seeping through the vents. She has made me comfortable. In the cockroach house in the Jamaican part of town, 6 blocks from the Hudson and 1 from the police station, the drunk guy who mows the lawns on Garden Street asked me to get him a beer from the bodega, and when I got back, he asked if I had change for a 50. In the cat piss closet and the view of the dead houseplants, a $6 desk that I built with 2 broken hands, he says that's why he lives here. Because it's hard, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Says that I look like I know how to make a day's pay, and he'd pay me in beer and cash while we work. And the River City, old state capital of New York, where making eye contact at the bus terminal is your first mistake. If I whistle for the worried dog, I will give myself away to the regret that piled up out back. The atrocities you have dodged by simply succumbing to your own fatal life by force. The scene where my cat ate the meatballs you taught me how to cook while I was smoking the tobacco you taught me how to smoke. How I stabbed him with my dull chef knife. His blood ran down the cabinets of a new house to us. Unforgettable acts elapse by my glazed sunken eyes. Where we are, where we will be, who you are with, can we still speak? The castrated cat reminds me of what isn't possible here on Earth. I began calling you back from the dead as soon as you were no longer a part of this world. What a shame to say you aren't here. I beg to hear your voice once again. I'm asking to speak, yet all the failed plants, the broken robin egg that lay well in the garden bed, and the reality of separation not so finite. We are forced to at least attempt communication for the simplest of response. A nudge, a misshapen pastry, a piece of your famous pecan pie, or even a full pan of gravy dropped all over my bare kitchen feet. I want you to know I'm listening. And I have wings tattooed to my ankles. And the first time I came to Beyke, I was 11 years old. And the first time I met my dad's dad, he was in a casket. But I knew he was living once. The unknown, nameless grandfather flattered his young children with a chicken wing between his thighs, yelling, "Fly, motherfucker, fly." One night, while drunker than a riverbed. But up and down the converge of river, cooking canned meals from scratch with tied down pods, pans, and lockered sauces. Captain Tom, the cap navigating Grandma Bev from lock to lock across the used-to-be flooded not our land, and a man whiskey drunk demanding attention stands tall in his own unmaintained kitchen. a place that is here but still very far away. And the moment you left, I felt anew, but not in the way anew sounds. I felt the weight of your life halfway between here and mostly gone. I felt the hairy hairs of my chin curl up between the doorways we forgot to love in. I felt a place that should never be felt and yet gave me a place to feel. I felt alone and whole and tired because there was so much to clean up after you left. And alone, here I am, alone and alive. The pale dead leaves who tower above are not yet deadness and waiting for us to unbecome ourselves in total. A letter to my grandmother. Have they patched you up there in the place you knew you would go? Is there a smoking section in heaven? Is heaven even real? I remember when the restaurants you loved to go to stopped having smoking sections. I remember how you boycotted Perkins, the buffet place on Henderson Street, and even Pizza Hut. And now I couldn't imagine sitting next to a 5-year-old boy who's inhaling cheese and my cigarette smoke. But I couldn't imagine such a life without those memories. How after every meal not homemade, you would offer up spearmint gum. Oh, that smell. Cigarettes and spearmint gum. And even still, I can't imagine a world without you. I have no proof that you were gone, other than the lack of voicemails I've been collecting. Ones where you say, "Hey honey, it's Grandma. Give me a call when you can. Love you. Bye." With an emphasis on the ooh sound of you. And only if you knew how much I too love you, if only you would call me, I wouldn't miss a single thing. And this for Mama Bird, an ode to the old red-breasted robin in my backyard. I see that scar across your breast and that gray speckled feathers featured at the end of wings so powered by wind. Your feet must ache from walking the grassy floor where worms rest, grass grows, and birds chirp. I recognize you from all the others here in this house. We rest on Sundays. No, not a religious ceremony, but something done religiously. Just like how when I mow the lawn, you dip down after each fresh cut to dig for worms. You're not saying thank you, but your gracious moves through wind show gratitude. Was it loud because we were talking? Or because the trees were falling? Grandma said that when she was a girl, her dad would save sacks from the chicken feed, and her mother would sew them into dresses. Grandma said that when she was a girl, men would donate old suits to the church, and the women from the church would cut them into winter coats. She taught me how to cut an onion the wrong way, and that you can be anything you want to, except Catholic. We took shots of Mogan David wine on Mother's Day for Elsie. We dodged harassment from Papa in the kitchen on Day Street, and between shut the fuck up, exchanged as love. He ate ham with false teeth and a pocket knife over a table he built. Check the wrists. I gotta go tie my shoes. He's the reason I wear boots, keep a pocket knife, and skin fish alive. on the river where we used to live together, you and I. Up the shores from Paducah to Chicago, alone and together every inch of the muddy current. I've dreamed of this foreign Kentucky land, day trips looking for the dead, riverbank and riverbank, east, north, west, south, and past reason. I thought I smelled cigarettes between here and now, but I know I saw your unkept face in my mind, and alone that night we heard faint whispers of life wash away. A few weeks before he took his last breath, he ordered a pallet of Pepsi to be shipped to his house. Today, he would have been 49. It's cold and blowing in February, and I'm thinking about soda and his memory, which absolutely has everything to do with not knowing who he was. The most prolific moments were of him sleeping and me stealing Pepsi. Or how, after he died, Grandma tried to give us the remaining soda, so we mixed it with rum. My father never drank because his father always did. There are 2,376 Pepsis in a pallet. He lived 16,790 days on this unforgivable planet and not once saw the ocean. And my mom only knows how to make what the cardboard box tells her to do. In the house where the best cook is 10 years old and the most complicated meal involves boiled water, where the people don't eat often, but eat enough. When the plant shut down after the 50th anniversary, my whole neighborhood was on food stamps. But I got a picture of the Maytag man, autographed by the Maytag man himself. And I remember shaking. He was the first celebrity I'd ever met, and no one knew his real first name. I got a koozie to cool the beer I was 12 years too young to drink, and my mom lost her job 2 weeks later. She taught her children how to live in a world that gives us so many useless things. The first time he explained what separation was, we were gathered around a table at a Perkins diner. Back when smoking was still allowed in restaurants, we always sat in the smoking section. I could still hear the hostess asking, smoking or non? Me, my brother, sister, and father were placed with divorce and pancakes and soda. My father chain-smoked and chain-drank Pepsi as he theatrically explored the performance of explaining separation to his adolescent children. He was working in computer programming at the time and was sporting a white button-down tucked-in shirt. When he said that he and Mom were separating, it separated my world. I thought my parents were related. I had never not seen them together, with the exception of my father sleeping and usually unemployed on the lazy boy blue armchair in front of the big screen projector TV he bought with his tax returns at the rec store on Henderson. The TV that snapped my skateboard when he tried to use it as a dolly. He said he would get me a new one, but I cried it wouldn't be the same. I knew separation, but I had never had it explained by the man I never understood. at a diner that served novelty food to novelty people. A broken skateboard and a projection TV is everything that divorce is or isn't to a 9-year-old boy. And that 9-year-old boy is still repeating, it won't be the same. On the 3rd floor of the building that built Knox County, I was falling out of a doorway covered in tears over your dead body. Collapsing into a darkened room, she pushed me to sit as her coffee cup ran across the classroom floor and did not break. It must be made of steel. A bond between rivers, between the gone and those of us not yet dead. A communication through the ether of changing weather patterns, ships, barges, and cranes igniting our lives through porcelain vessels filled with polluted water for the sake of sakes. The hammering of lice must go on. Because I have called to you, as the flame flamingo calls, or the want of a spotted hawk is called, because in the dusk the warblers shoot the running waters of short songs to homecoming warblers. I am waiting with the flame flamingo, the spotted hawk, the running water warbler, waiting for you. Your birds have not passed since spring began. What did you feed them? Were they dead? I did not hear a pattern of cause above home tonight or last. I know you did not intend in a mission for destruction, yet neither does the crow. Have those feathers gathered in a place I no longer belong, where the dead are welcome to speak? It seems so unfair. I was once a part of the conversation, and you've taken me away from a bishop and a learned century of truth and persecution. When will they speak to me again? Only in death? At dawn, the creatures parade the streets towards the river to speak beneath the bridge built with angels, the birds of such a saint. form died on August 3rd, 2015. My children sleep with framed photos of my mother, leaden, angular, metal frames. My 10-year-old puts her frame in the red velvet bag that held the cremation urn and brings it with her on vacation. A photo of my mother sits in the bag that once held a container of her ashes. When we die, we are represented by representations of representations, often in different forms. Memories, too, are representations of the dead. I go through corridors looking for the original, but can't find her. In Palm Springs, the desert fails me. Dust, sand, gravel, bits of dead things everywhere. A speck of someone else's dead mother blows into my eye and I start crying again. The heat now is too optimistic. The pool and its luster like an inquisition. My own breathing between the splashes and children laughing, no longer a miracle, but simple mathematics. We were supposed to live here. I thought you weren't living any longer. But now the light shines through the crack of the door. I smell the stench of the bathtub rubbing your skin clean. Hiding in a bed can only do so much. My socks aren't clean and I'm wearing boots. Maybe no one will know. You once said that I should look after myself more often. I forgot to buy a mirror when we moved in here. Where is there to look after if there are no shadows in this room? No one is sorry I'm leaving, not even I. But there should be a minstrel or at least a glass of wine. It bothers the young most, I think. An unviolent, slow death. Still, it makes any man dream. You wish for an old sailing ship, the white salt-crusted sail, and the sea shaking out hints of immortality. Sea in the nose, sea in the hair, sea in the marrow, in the eyes, and yes, there in the chest. We will miss the love of a woman, or music, or food, or the gamble of the great mad-muscled horse, kicking clods and destines high and away in just one moment of the sun coming down. But now it's my turn, and there's no majesty in it, because there was no majesty in it before it. And each of us, like worms bitten out of apples, deserves no reprieve. Death enters my mouth and snakes along my teeth, and I wonder if I'm frightened of this voiceless, unsorrowful dying that is like the drying of a rose. instant tea. I take these little pictures very close to my heart. The shutter tugs right past my nipple and into the pump and gush of blood that canvases my body. For now, winter has been fought off with time in our hands, and I can see your death over and over again in these once empty frames. Flowers, cigarettes, candy wrappers, state flags, and landlocked landscapes are leaching on the chemicals of instance. There are death in these chambers and clamoring. I'm not done listening to the winds where your voice still echoes. I will murmur your names, and her whisper will call me in, and death will capture me in an instant collapse of relief. I am putting my coffee in the microwave for the third time today. And I'm thinking how you used to sleep here until you never woke up or called again. And of course, I'm thinking of Beyke and his bottle and him practicing death. And just like him, I am grateful. It is not an unusual morning, except that it is one more. And I want to thank you for listening. Thank you, everyone.